How long does it take from the first touch point until you close the deal?
I have closed an enterprise deal worth almost like $800,000 annual revenue in literally like 4 hours. They want to make sure that all the boxes are ticked basically. Are you insured as a business? What is your security posture as a business? Okay, for how long are you in the business? Okay, who are your customers?
Do you think sometimes they don't know what they want?
So many times, for example, I've seen customers come to me and they say, oh, my product is not working that well, or like it's crashing.
Hello, Khurram. For the people who don't know you, can you tell me who you are and then how many years you are in your sector?
Hi, so my name is Khurram. I'm the founder of Kualitatem, which is a TMI level 5 testing company, and Quality, which is an AI-powered test management platform. I have been in the business for 15 years. Me and my co-founder, we co-founded this company, Kualitatem. And pretty much I'm focused on managing the whole thing in terms of sales, marketing, growth, even product design, product development as well. And making sure that, we are growing every year.
As far as I know, you have one of the biggest client names out there like Google, FedEx, and Outlander, also Emirates even. So can you tell me, how do you close enterprise deals?
So enterprise deal is a different ballgame as compared to any SMB sector, because in enterprises, typically you have multiple stakeholders and they have their own wish lists, and sometimes they can be very competing with each other. And the idea is that you need to bring them together to a common cause, common goal, and identify some bare minimum threshold on which they can all agree internally. And then, of course, you have to set the right expectations. You have to make sure that you can deliver on those expectations and in fact go above and beyond. So in my opinion, winning a deal with an enterprise customer is not just about going in, pitching your services and expecting something is going to happen, or pitching your product and expecting something is going to happen. It's really about listening to them, their challenges, what they're doing right now, where they want to be, and what is it that is happening or that is stopping them from being where they want to be. So it's more about listening, and listening means that you also then identify a lot of solutions around their pain points, and you, of course, navigate through your own offering and align it with their expectations and help them be successful with their own objectives.
If there's any founders listening, can you divide it into steps, like how to close the first enterprise deal?
Yeah, so I think the first and the primary step is that you have to be at the right place at the right time. I guess that's the first thing, you need to be there. But if you are there, so let's start from that point. If you are there, the first step is that you need to listen to the customer. That is the most important thing. I think a lot of founders, a lot of people who are into sales, they talk more than they listen. And I think it's very critical to listen to the customer. You have to be empathetic, in my opinion. You have to understand what they are trying to achieve, and you need to see how you can help them through that process, either at an individual, as a founder, or as a leader level, or even as an organization, or through your services. And the third and the most critical step is that you map out a very clear direction and clear steps that they need to perform, or you need to perform for them, to help them achieve that goal. And that is how, in my opinion, these are like three steps technically that you need to follow to be successful with enterprise customers.
Do you think sometimes they don't know what they want, or they know what they want?
I think pretty much a lot of customers, doesn't matter if they come from SMB or enterprise, they really don't know that much. They may know at a higher level what they want, but the understanding they have at a detail level is not there most of the times. And I think as part of the process, we as leaders, as founders, as even sales guys or business development people, we need to make sure that we help them first identify what the actual problem is. And so many times, for example, I've seen customers come to me and they say, oh, my product is not working that well, or it's crashing. And if you ask them, okay, so why do you think it's happening? They would say, oh, I don't know, because we have done all the automated testing part already, so I don't know why it's happening. And then the question becomes, oh, hang on, but maybe you have automated the part that is fine, but you have other parts that are not working, for which you may not have proper test cases written even, right? So identification of the problem is very critical in my opinion. And that is where your expertise and your technical expertise as somebody who is advising and coaching a customer comes in. And again, that is, in my opinion, connected to the listening part, because if you listen to them, then you can decipher what is happening between the lines and then identify, okay, like even if they're saying X, maybe there is another Y reason that is causing the X thing to happen, and you just need to make them see the connection there.
Don't you feel like it's a lot of dancing between you and the client?
Of course, yeah, it is.
Because sometimes they don't tell you what they actually want, like...
Yes, because I think they are occupied with a lot of stuff that is happening on a daily basis for them. Like they have a lot of people to manage, they have a lot of expectations to manage, so sometimes they're not able to spend that much amount of time identifying the root cause for the problem. And sometimes it's the lack of expertise, sometimes it's the lack of awareness of the problem. Sometimes they don't even see the problem, like there could be, I've seen cases where customers have called us in for another issue altogether, and we have found the issue to be somewhere else. So their awareness is sometimes also not there. But I think that is exactly why we exist then, right? Like as professionals, as consultants, or as somebody who has to solve a problem for a customer, we need to go there, listen to them, identify their pain points, and again help them see through the problem itself first. So it's a lot of dancing, yes, but I think that's part of the process on its own.
You mentioned that there are a lot of stakeholders in the enterprise. They need to go for the communication. Like if the first person is not the person who can make the decision, how would you do after that?
So you have to speak to the decision maker. I think that is the most important thing. You may get a lot of information from people who are not the decision maker. They may give you some insights into the challenges. For example, maybe if you go to a person who is actually working on a daily basis on a problem, they can give you a real insight into what is happening, which may not be the case at a higher level. But again, you need to listen to both sides, because in some ways, the person who is doing daily work is also hindered in their progress, and the person who is sitting at the top is also not getting the results. Their perspective of the problem could be something else, but here is what is very important for us to figure out is the perception versus perspective problem, right? A lot of people perceive problem in a certain way, but if you give them another perspective, they will see it differently. It's just the same problem, they will see it differently. So as founder, as leader, I find it my responsibility to help them see those things at different level, and hence, even if you don't talk to the guy who is a decision maker, you can get a lot of valuable information from them, and then you can map it onto the conversation that you're having with the decision maker and help them see that perspective, and vice versa.
How long does it take from the first touch point until you close the deal?
Oh, it takes long time. It has taken me, I have closed an enterprise deal worth almost like $800,000 annual revenue in literally like 4 hours. I've done that. And I've done a deal which is like an enterprise deal with a Fortune 500, and it took us like 2.5 years. So it just varies. But typically it would take at least 6 to 9 months.
And how many stakeholders they need to communicate within one deal?
So pretty much like 6 to 8 people.
6 to 8. But do you talk to this 6 to 8 people?
Yes, in different ways we will talk to those 6 and 8. Like in some cases I had to talk to like 35, 40 people too. But of course they're all clubbed together in a room, right? So like you talk to like 1 or 2 key people, and then they will bring in like 2 or 3 or whatever the number is of the other people who are part of the project in different meetings, and then you have to convince them, and that's how it is done basically. Yeah, but it is not in enterprises. The idea is that you have to convince pretty much like everybody to be acceptable of your solution or the way you're trying to solve the problem.
It's gonna be a really interesting question. So when you send out the deck, how long normally is this deck, and then what kind of information should be in there?
I do not send any deck. I don't. No. I prefer to set up a call with them, and I actually sometimes don't even show them the deck. I listen to the question. So my primary question to them is, this is a call for you. You tell us what is your current challenge. Then I can show you what I can do or what we can do for you guys. And then we use the deck eventually to show them, okay, this is how we will do it. Because my my opinion is that we should not, people don't really care who we are, right? I mean, fundamentally, at a fundamental level, nobody really cares what Qualitum does unless they have a challenge which is related to software testing, and then they will talk to us, right? Now, when they come to us, they're not interested in what we are doing. They first want to understand that do we understand their problem, their language itself, right? I mean, like if you talk to a person from banking industry, their use of wording is very different than somebody from the telco industry, for example, right? So first they want to understand, are we even understanding their language, their jargon? And for that, again, it goes back to the point I mentioned earlier, that we need to listen to them. And when we open our deck, basically we are telling them that you listen to us first. And I don't do that. I want customers to listen for me to first listen to the customer and then help them see how I can solve their problem through my deck if there is a need for that. So that's how I typically do it.
But don't they just say, hey, can you send me a deck first and then I will talk to my team or something?
Eventually they would say that, but I am yet to come across a customer who says that, oh, you know what, I want to see your deck first. They all want to talk about their problems. I mean, this is a consistent theme. I have seen customers where I have not even shown them a deck actually. I've sent them in the email after the call, but during the call I haven't even shown them the deck. I prefer to spend more time on understanding their problem and tying it back to how our services or how we have done it for some other customer maybe, and how we can solve it for them, let's say, based on our experience from the past. So my mantra has been now for the last 4 to 5 years to not show them the deck up front.
Like, it took you how long to learn this?
It took me 10 years to get to this point.
No, because I know a lot of founders definitely slide into your DM saying like, hey, how do we close enterprise? And do you think they miss out this part? I was a founder. I send out my deck always,
No, I'm not saying maybe this is the reason why I'm closing the deck, because I think you need a lot of things to happen at the same time. For example, if you're talking to the customer, if you don't understand their pain point properly, I mean, no matter what the deck is saying, they're not going to buy it from you, because in essence, people buy for 2 reasons. And that is what I think is happening mostly. One is they look at the person they're talking to, and do they gain confidence with that conversation that, oh, you know what I'm saying, whatever I'm saying, this person, he or she can understand what I'm talking about. The second thing is, what is the profile of that company and what are they expert in? That is another way they get the confidence, right? So now these 2 things need to happen in tandem all the time for you to be successful, right? If you are a smart person who is talking to the customer, giving them all the confidence, and you are saying all the right thing that need to be said in front of the customer, but the company is, through their profile, through their offering, through their expertise, through their case studies, is not able to demonstrate that part, I don't think any customer is going to buy that. A lot of the enterprise customers are fundamentally risk averse, right? They want to make sure that all the checklists boxes are ticked basically, right? So for example, they'll ask you for your insurance, for example, right? I mean, like, are you insured as a business? What is your security posture as a business? Okay, for how long are you in the business? Okay, who are your customers? So I mean, like, all of these checkboxes in my head come from this factor that they want to make sure that the risk is minimized. And as you keep doing one thing after another, that risk just goes out of the picture. And the more risk is out of the picture, the more comfortable they are with you then. And the more comfortable they are with you, then they're going to open up a bit more and a bit more. And I think that's why a lot of the times people are not able to close enterprise customers, because they're not able to give them the confidence, either at a personal level or through the history or through the company, or even through some of this infrastructure issues that I mentioned, like being, having right amount of insurance, for example, as a business, or security posture, or like for how long are you in business, and what kind of customers have you dealt with, what kind of problems have you dealt with. So I think a lot of the time these are the issues than anything else.
Like, you don't learn this at school, right? Or like QA testing courses. How did you learn that?
The courses part? The
No, the interpersonal skill, sales skill, whatever you are talking about right now. How can people learn this?
you have to identify your weakness. I mean, like, I think we are we are all having some areas where we need to work on, and I think it's very important to be brutally honest with yourself. Identify where you are weak as a person, and then you need to find coaches. And I mean, like, look, the world is a connected place now. I mean, if somebody comes and tells me now that they are not able to improve themselves because they're not able to find some help, I don't understand how is that even possible now. Because you have everything on YouTube, you have everything. I mean, like, you have all sort of products that are selling you educational information. Like, I mean, you have Udemy's and you have Coursera's. So there is just no reason why you can't fix something that you think is your weak area. And the other thing is, I think we need to see that we are always a work in progress as human beings, right? So we may fix one problem and then we'll get to another thing. And I'm talking about internal issues, how we perceive things and how we act on those things, or sometimes how we react to those things. So we need to constantly work on them, right? I mean, there is no excuse now, in my opinion, where people say that, like, I am who I am. Well, sure, you are who you are, but then I think you need to improve. That is a responsibility on you. So if you're, for example, if you struggle with communication, just take communication classes from somebody, right? Just take a course online. Just listen to the language that you want to be well versed in. Like listen to their TV channels, for example. That's what it is fundamentally. I mean, like, but it's mostly about introspection. I have also seen that a lot of people don't really spend that much time on thinking about themselves, and they just like in a rush all the time, like go after from the start at like 8 in the morning and at like 10 in the evening, go to sleep. I think everybody needs to take out like 30 minutes of the day and just sit back and question themselves as to what did they do, what is it that they have not been able to do, and what really they should work on, And I'm not saying that you will be able to come out of a checklist, but if you do this enough, I think you will start seeing a lot of improvement in the way you are as a person, the way you are as a founder, as a leader, as anybody actually, So I think the short answer is figure out what is not working for you, work on that part, then move on to the next thing that you think is not working, then work on that part, and keep this going. I think that it's a cycle. It just needs to be like that. There is no end game here,
Isn't it just so hard though? Like,
I know it's hard. It's hard. It is hard. I mean, like, I don't know. I find it pretty much like, this is where when I talk to like some people, they keep telling me this part that, this kind of thought process is difficult because it's not easy, like you question yourself, and then it could create a lot of self-doubt. It can create a lot of question in your own mind about yourself. And, like maybe you come up with like 5 issues in one night and you're like, am I even good?
And sometimes you identify one issue and then you are now working on this issue long enough, and then you jump on the second issue and then you don't even see the result, because I think a lot of founders in the beginning of the founding stage is like firefighting all the time, right? And how do you even have that level of clarity?
I think if you're honest enough, I mean, like, there are no right and wrong answers, to be honest, but I think one thing is for sure, you gotta know through your intuition, your gut feel, where you are strong and where you are not strong. And I think it's just about being honest. I mean, like, who you are. I mean, like, for example, I know I'm not that strong when it comes to processes. I'm not that strong as a person, right? But does it mean that I don't work on that? No, it means that I need to work on that, right? Maybe I'm not going to be the best ever. But am I like 1% better than yesterday? If I can be that 1% better than yesterday, I think that in itself is a success. And so here's another thing that an analogy that I've told myself to think about. We take ourselves or our lives as switches. So the switch is either in an on state or it's an off state. Okay, but I think we need to take ourselves, when it comes to progress and improvement, as dials. So slight movement of the dial is better than being at zero. So keep rotating the dial till you get better and better and better, and then you'll get more and more of it, right? But we somehow tend to think as a human mind of it like as a button, like it is either 0 or it's 1. If it's 0, then it needs to be 100%. But no, but there's so much more between 0 and 100 on its own, that even if you are at 0 right now and you get to be at 10, That's an improvement, right? That's better than it being at 0. If you're at 10 and you get to be 20, better. And again, that's how we need to think. We just need to tell ourselves that we can do it. And like, because the ones who do it are also human beings. I mean, it's not like they're from somewhere else. I mean, like, they also put their mind to it. They do spend their time on improving themselves, either by introspection or by talking to the right people and asking for the guidance. That's what it is fundamentally.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
Burnout? Many times.
How that happened and why?
Well, when my burnout happens, to be honest, I just shut down everything and I'll just go on a leave. I'll just like close computers, everything closed. I will
not shut down the company, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Not yet. Not
catastrophe. Okay, shut down everything.
And go. So that's why I like going to the mountains, because I think in the mountains I get a reset. And sometimes I would just go for like 2 days, 2 nights only. I'll just go there, and that gives me a lot of reset. And I think that's how I have been able to manage my stress. Apart from that, I think one thing I've been very lucky with is that I've got a great team, and I can actually trust on them that if I'm gonna be away for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they can take care of things, and they have been enabled enough, and they have taken that responsibility in a very good way, that I don't really worry about that part. And that is probably where I think that I've been very lucky as well.
And why you burned out?
Because when you're a founder, I think everybody says the same thing, that being a founder is a lonely thing, right? I mean, people who are working for you or with you, they will come to you all the time and give you their problems. But who do you go to and give your problems to, right? Nobody. Basically, because nobody's going to understand even. I mean, even if I talk to founders, they won't really know what kind of issues I'm facing, because my business is a different thing altogether, right? I mean, I was telling you that a business is a living organism. The way Kualitatem thinks, works, behaves is very different than any other company on the planet, because it's a function of the kind of mindset we have behind the business, right? The group of people who have come together to build the company. So when my reason for burnouts are typically because of a lot of work that has to be done, and there are just so many ideas coming into my mind. I need to do this, I need to go there, I need to talk about this customer, so on and so forth. So I think that's how typically I get the burnout. But now I have become slightly more smarter, that I'll just typically try to take a day or so off in between, so I don't really get to the burnout part.
Slow burn,
yes. The slow cooked meal that I am, yes.
So let's go back to the enterprise side. So how long does it take for you to have this snowball effect? Like, because I believe when you get the first big name, then the rest will come along, right? Like this snowball effect, like it took you how long?
So I think our biggest challenge was when we started that we were in a very niche area, which is software testing. And it wasn't really a main thing. Like nobody really even understood what does it mean to have a software testing company. I mean, anybody can set up a dev shop or some sort of an implementation partner of a large enterprise, and people won't understand that. They won't necessarily see the value in the beginning. In the first 5 to 6 years, I think that was the biggest challenge I had, right? Talking to customers and telling them that we are a testing company, and they would be like, and what do we want from us? So the first 5 years were a struggle in that sense. Like we would land enterprise customers, but it wouldn't really create any snowball effect for us, because
Really?
because the market awareness is not there, right? Maybe some person sitting in an enterprise is aware of the problem, but doesn't mean that the whole market is aware of the problem. Now it has become, in the last 5 to 6 years, it has become turned into a snowball effect, because a lot of these guys move around, and wherever they go, they see the value of having an independent testing company with you. So they take us with them. So that has caused a lot of snowball effect now. I mean, like we have CTOs who are moving from one enterprise to another enterprise. And when they go for a new company, like that's one thing they want to set it up right away for that company, is to have an independent testing company.
Wait, so you say like the last 5 to 6 years you see the snowball effect. How about the first 10 years? How did you go about?
So it was very hard. It was very tough grind, like going to each customer and telling them. And I'm talking about we are in like 4 regions actually. We are literally like in 4 big markets, and then we have like 2 or 3 smaller markets. So it's literally like going to each and every market, and their dynamics are very different from each other. So for example, if you go to Saudi, they are very different to the way UAE works, right? Even in the system they have in place. So in Saudi you can do cold calling, for example, right? But you can't do that in UAE. It doesn't work here, right? Emails works somewhere, emails don't work in the US. So I'm telling you, a lot of these systems that work for one country, they don't necessarily work for another country. Now to figure out, okay, what is going to work, what is not going to work in that country is one issue. Then positioning a very niche business is another issue on top, right? So it took us a lot of time to figure out, okay, like what is our sweet spot in terms of each market, and who should be the ideal customer we go after for each market. I mean, like for example, in UAE we are working very heavily with the UAE government clients, but in Saudi that's not the case. We are working a lot with the financial and the telco sector over there. Again, just because they think differently as well, right? So it took us, like in the first 10 years, it took us a lot of time and effort to find different enterprise customers. I won't call it snowball effect, but I would definitely say that after that we had a snowball effect when a lot of these guys started moving around.
So tell me, like, if there's a startup is listening, they have limited time, limited resources, money as well. If you can say 3 areas they should focus on, what would that be?
So the first thing is you need to identify your own strength, like why you are who you are and what makes you the best on the planet, right? I mean, like you really need to know your strength. That is the first and the foremost thing. The second thing is you need to understand your competition better, like because they are also doing something. So what is it that they are offering that, for example, that you cannot offer, or you are offering and they are not offering? That is where you figure out a sweet spot for yourself. So as a founding team, that is, in my opinion, the first thing to do. Then the second thing is to go out and talk to as many people as you can, like as many, because the more you talk, first of all, you will definitely get a lot of noise in that too. So you need to know how to filter out that noise. A lot of people will say, this is not really worth it. We don't need this. Who needs this ever? Blah, blah, blah. So you need to filter that part out. What you will get after these conversations is a bunch of people who will tell you why this will work or why it's a good idea. And then when you figure out the why part, then you need to just make a small, very small, tight ICP and a very tight geography, and just go into that geography and that market and just double down over there. That's what you need to do.
And how long do they have to try in this ideal customer, account until they know it's working or not working? Because sometimes people give up too quick or too late, right? But they are startups.
I think some of the answers to these kind of questions is like very subjective. I think it's really up to an individual. How do they see it? I mean, like my 2 cents are, if you're trying to open a new market or a new business, give yourself at least 2 to 3 years. I mean, like you need that much amount of time just to figure out the game. I mean, like forget about what LinkedIn is talking about, right? I mean, like a lot of these startups are talking about we have scaled to X amount of revenue in like Y days or Y months. Well, what is that like? It's like not even like 1% of the world, right? I mean, but look at the 99% how they are working. If you go to an enterprise customer, it is going to take you time. Nobody's going to give you a meeting on, like if I call somebody today in an enterprise, let's say I don't know them. First of all, why would they give me a meeting even, right? So we have to think like, okay, like what is the journey here? The journey is people don't know me because I'm a startup. So I need to first be known. People need to see me. And the only way is that I go and talk to these people. And like the timeline, in my opinion, is if you start a business today, give yourself like 2 to 3 years at least. That is a realistic target for you to think that after 3 years, you can decide if you want to carry on or not. But 3 years is like bare minimum, in my opinion.
Unpaid internship kind of thing.
Well, yeah, unpaid internship. Absolutely. I mean, like we didn't really get any money in the first 3 years. We didn't really draw any money. No, we didn't.
But isn't that like people always romanticize being a founder? Do you think people
I know.
too much?
People think it's a very sexy job, and I keep telling them, listen, it is a sexy job because you just pick your own 18 hours out of 24 hours. Yeah. So like you'll still sleep only 6 hours, but like you pick your own 18 hours, so it's definitely a sexy job for that.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people just didn't know how much of a grind they have to go through before they found a company. Yeah. Like, is there something that you think, oh shit, that is different than what I've thought before I founded the company? And then
No, I think I kind of understood one fact that it will be a very hard thing to do.
How did you know?
Because I have read about people who have done it. If you really listen to people who are doing it properly and you don't listen to the LinkedIn conversation, you the real life stories. I mean, like I had an advisor, we have an advisor. So I would go and meet and talk to him. And he would tell me, like, because he had set up like 5 businesses and all of that. So he was a big industrialist. You talk to these kind of people and they will tell you the real challenges that are going to come down your way. I mean, I remember when I met him for the first time, and then we went back and we were doing the business, like 6 months later we had our first customer, and we were very happy that we have our big enterprise customer and blah blah blah. And we were like, why don't we just like get something for ourselves, like as a gift, because we have achieved something as founders. And we were like, okay, let's just go and talk to the advisor as well. Like, so he listens to us, we don't tell him anything. He listens to the story that we have closed an enterprise customer, and he says, hang on a second, let me tell you one thing. Don't go and buy anything from the money that you're gonna get. And we were just looking at his face, because how did he know that? Because it's not like we spoke to him. How did he know, right? Like, how did he come up with this idea that, okay, because now they have an enterprise customer, they will have money, they're gonna spend somewhere, so I need to stop them from doing it. Because he was there in that place at some point in time in his past as well, and he had seen a lot of people make the same mistake. So he was like, don't do that, because I've seen a lot of people making the same mistake. So I have been able to be very fortunate talking to these kind of people, because they have been able to put my mind through a certain process, tell me, well, this is what needs to be done, this is what needs to be avoided 100%. And that is how, like I have pretty much been able to imagine how developing a business is. Yes, there were a lot of challenges, and there were a lot of challenges which even I didn't expect to see, right? But if I go back and I start again, I'm pretty sure I'll get another set of challenges that I need to address. I mean, if I don't get those kind of challenges that I've received now, seen till now, I'll get some other set of challenges. So the whole idea is you need to be mentally strong to deal with these kind of issues, and you need to learn from others, and the others who have done it, and others who are doing it, and they can also make you see some of the issues and how you should address those issues. And that's what it is.
Last question before we close up. Do you think it's important to have a mentor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everybody needs a mentor. I mean, I still go and talk to people whom I see as the best in the industry in a specific area. I'm very happy to even pay them for the hour they charge, because I think mentoring is the most important thing for me. At least I'm talking about myself right now, and I think it applies to everybody. That is one of the quickest way to learn from others, and also not make the same mistake that they have made.
But not everybody can learn, right? So
Yeah, I mean, like, but I'm assuming that everybody who wants to, for example, learn from others, they should go down this road. You should have mentors, and it can be anybody, depending on what you think is your weak area, and probably you want to address that. Have a mentor for that, and like, then find another area and then have a mentor for that too.
do you mentor people?
Yes, sometimes. Yes, I do that.
Sometimes are you picky?
I am picky because I think for me it's very important that I can bring value to somebody. I mean, and I would like to see them see what I'm saying and implement it. And if they see the value in that, I mean, like for me, it's very important that I don't want to spend my time on something where I'm not able to bring them value, or they are not able to drive value from whatever I'm suggesting. So yes, I am very, very, very picky. I'm very generally picky about my time in any case, like I'm extremely frugal.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think everybody needs to be really frugal about, because that's one currency nobody is ever gaining. Everybody is losing that currency. We all are. So we need to be very stingy about our time.
Like when you are choosing a person you wanted to mentor or like you think you could mentor, like what are you looking at? How people slide into your DM?
I mean, like for me, it's more important how committed they are to what they believe in. I mean, I'm okay with people believing in like really nonsense ideas sometimes, because that's how they look from the outside. But it's the strength of their commitment that drives me. You have to believe in it. I mean, like, you have to be obsessively mad to be a founder first. In any case. In any case, right? I mean, and then you have to be really into it to drive something of a meaningful value, not just for your customers, but for yourself, for your family, for your people who are working with you. Like everybody depends on you then in some ways, right? So you have to have a lot of craziness in you in that way. So I like to see that kind of intent, that kind of personality, where they are trying to do something, and I can be of value to them, but also they need to be first very obsessively crazy about what they believe in. A lot of the founders, some I've seen, they're not even committed to their own ideas sometimes. Like that's what I've seen. So it's kind of difficult in that way, Like
How people reach out to you?
LinkedIn, the best
LinkedIn?
way. Yeah.
Do you occasionally check?
I check it regularly, actually, pretty much every day. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I think that's one channel that I firmly believe is very good to grow yourself and also to learn from others, because a lot of people are writing great stuff over there. I mean, like some of the ideas that I see being shared on LinkedIn by people is just amazing. Like it's small posts, but like they give you the whole rundown. Not those playbooks, not that one. But like sometimes people are writing about their failure, and you instantly see, oh, there is a lot of value in this failure or this story itself.
Thank you, Khurram, for your time and your knowledge as well. I think everybody can learn something from this podcast, definitely. So hopefully we will see you very soon next time.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you.